What it do? What it do? Back on it. So we're about to filter into chapter 2. The keys to empowerment. Any race that loves the world and hates itself will eventually become its own oppressor. The first chapter discussed how slavery generated racism, which created race-based monopolies and vast wealth for whites. These race-based monopolies made whites the proverbial 900-pound gorilla and rendered black Americans null and void as a competitive and productive group in the marketplace. However, like any monopoly, white racial monopolies are not perfect. They can be beaten, but blacks will need the right combination of skills, appropriate mindsets, clear direction, a sense of group self-interest, and a competitive group spirit in order to compete and win. When these attitudes are properly mixed with our group competitive advantages, we can begin to play real-life Monopoly. In this chapter, we will learn about the keys and tools that can empower Black America and make it unified, self-directed, and economically stronger. Many will ask the questions: is it possible for Black Americans to transform itself into a state of economic and political competitiveness? Can modern Black America do what 18 previous generations of Blacks failed or were not allowed to do? In this chapter, you will find that the answer to both questions is yes, it can be done, but it will not be easy. It will require Black Americans to make drastic behavior changes. We will have to overcome the primary impediments to Black empowerment, a historical wealth inequality between the races, our own learned inappropriate behavior, and lack of a national plan. For those who are serious about building a new foundation of group wealth and political power, the first thing we must do is examine how we see, think, and behave regarding racial matters. This chapter will contain many technical concepts that are essential to understanding the action steps and principles recommended in the later chapters. Our experiences give us the point of view, like Alice in Wonderland looking into the mirror. What we see is distorted. It is not reality. Yet what we perceive, we believe, and what we believe eventually controls how we behave. As Black people, we tend to see ourselves and the solutions to our predicament through the eyes of non-Blacks. We have done this for so long that we do not question whether or not our perceptions of reality are accurate. When we fail to challenge what we see and believe, we allow distorted views to lead to inappropriate behaviors. It is now time for us to correct the distortions by changing rather than keeping our perspective. Out-of-the-box thinking. It has been said that the epitome of madness is to do the same thing over and over while fully expecting things to somehow change. That's the definition of insanity, by the way. We have spent centuries seeking civil rights and social acceptance while our conditions remain relatively fixed. As long as we continue to perceive and respond to our socio-economic situation in the same old manner, we should expect to get the same old results. If we want different results or an improved lifestyle, we have to see, think, and act differently. Our national empowerment plan must be based on new collective out-of-the-box thinking. Every social, political, legal, and economic policy and practice that relates to Black people must be rethought so that we can find creative channels through which we can emerge as a competitive political and economic force. The following line dot puzzle illustrates what we mean by out-of-the-box thinking. The problem is to connect the 9 dots in figure 3, box A, by using only 4 straight lines without taking a pencil or pen off the paper. Most people cannot solve the problem because they are bound and limited by their perspective. They will see the dots as boundaries, and they will want to stay as close to the dots as possible. To solve the puzzle, a player must be free enough in his thinking to extend his or her perspective beyond the dots, as indicated in the set of dots in box B. Conventional wisdom and perspectives will neither solve the puzzle of racial justice nor empower Black America. Racial inertia and competing social and economic forces are too strong. Black Americans have been locked outside the system for so long that we need to learn a new perspective in order to connect the dots. We got into our dilemma as a group, and since racism is a team or group competition, We must play and win this contest as a group. Our new perspective then must be one of the group solidarity. When a skin-colored team loses, everybody on the team loses, regardless of job, income, or education. In team competition, it is the responsibility of every member of the team to be sure his or her actions result in a team win. A perspective of group solidarity on race matters empowers us to see the world and others through our own eyes and to prioritize our interests and needs above all others. For Black America to place its own group self-interest ahead of every other group does not mean dislike for other groups. It simply means that we have matured politically and economically and will neither love nor treat any other group better than we love or treat ourselves. Following the majority. The premise of our social democracy set the stage for a majority population to dominate and direct. But these special rights and privileges for the majority come with some special obligations. According to the Federalist Papers, which promoted the ratification of the U.S. Constitution, the majority rules but has an inherent obligation to address the needs and interests of its losing minority population. The obligation is emphasized when the nation has a planned permanent minority. Since the minority society has clearly failed to include the needs and interests of its Black minority population, and its interests are not reflected by the nation's laws, customs, and public policies, it is incumbent upon Black Americans not to blindly follow the majority society. The majority society's need and interests cannot be placed above those of a Black minority. Playing to win as a team means Black America ought to set its own course rather than continuing to follow a game plan contrary to its own best interests. When a group in last place within a society, if it continues to follow the pack, it will remain in last place. Playing a game of follow the leader calls to mind a sled team of dogs. Only the led dog determines direction and sees a change in view. The hind dogs see only the rear end of the dog that is ahead. As long as they stay in the harness and follow the line, the hen dogs will never see where the sled is heading or be able to change direction. The dogs locked in the rear guarantee that the lead dog will arrive first and get the praise and the comfort of knowing that he is still leading. The hind dog only gets the satisfaction of knowing that what he sees every day will never change. As we shift into an empowerment mode, we are shifting from the perspective of the hind dog to the mindset of the lead dog who can choose a new way. As we wiggle out of the harness and outside the box, it must always be clear that we will no longer have to follow the lead of the majority society. The empowerment mode. Empowerment is too frequently used interchangeably with motivation, but the two words are very different. Motivating Blacks or any other group is little more than getting them interested, creating excitement, and making them feel good. For instance, Blacks as a group can be motivated to travel and see the world, but if they lack the money, time, and other resources, they are little more than motivated Blacks who cannot leave home. Didn't I just talk about that? How you gonna travel if you ain't got no money? Everybody want to see the world. Everybody want to ball. Everybody want to travel. It takes money to do all these things. You ain't got no money, how you gonna make moves? You don't have no business. You ain't got no real estate. You don't want no stocks. How you gonna make moves? Make it make sense to me. Let's continue on. Empowerment does not simply stimulate interest in travel. It also inspires confidence, and most importantly, it provides tools and other needed resources necessary to accomplish the goals. Without the benefit of empowerment tools such as money, transportation, hotels, passports, and other personal necessities, it is highly unlikely that motivated Blacks will be doing any traveling. Motivational and inspirational speakers, workshops, and books are designed primarily to make people feel good. However, Black people have been in a socio-economic ditch for centuries. Rather than motivating them to feel good about themselves while they remain in the ditch, they need the confidence and resources to get out. Though we must begin our self-empowerment by obtaining both confidence and the tools. We need the tools that give us a clear group direction and sense of togetherness. We need the tools that prepare and guide us to elevate and formulate our best interests. Our tools must always remind us of who and where we are. We are a very special people with a unique history. Therefore, rather than seeing race matters through the traditional rose-colored glasses, we must begin our solutions by looking realistically through race-colored glasses. The rest of the chapter offers Black Americans these new glasses in the context of the PowerNomics National Plan. The 4 PowerNomics empowerment tools for Black America are: number 1, empowerment culture; number 2, a group vision; number 3, the paradigm of ethno-aggregation; and number 4, the paradigm of vertical integration. The remainder of this book will explain the need for these tools and show how Black America can best use them.